prayer.
That was what did it.
Exactly. Particularly since it took so little of the Almighty's time, I said, please help Ann fix this. Thank you, amen.
I'm ready. I'm calling to do it. It's Wednesday. Oh, come on. Oh, I thought it was last Wednesday. What time is it? If it's evening, I work. Okay. Yeah, I kind of figured. Sorry, I should have just. I got chased. Well, I don't know. Ask him. Chase. All right.
Longing for spring. I was up this morning at 6 to go driving with my son. He's on those last 10 hours of driving practice where they're supposed to go in the dark. And so I came here to talk in public in front of all of you to relax a little. In fact, you could have probably brought a few hundred more people and it would have been good. As we begin, will you please turn off your electronic devices, your phones, whatever? I invite you to enjoy the chapel at the back of the sanctuary and note joys and concerns in the book there. If you have little ones, we have a nursery downstairs, and after our service, I invite you all downstairs to enjoy hospitality and greet one another. And finally, please note the announcements in your order of service, with many ways to be engaged in this vibrant community.
Well, you all look beautiful out there this morning. So we're going to start out with a song that is for all of you. This is a song about the difference that
Cynthia Dawson. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees, and I add my welcome to you today. Just to know, since I have control of the mic, I'm going to use this opportunity to remind all of you that this Saturday night is our big event. Today is the very last day that you can let me know if you're coming. If your name is not on my roster, you don't get dinner. So be sure to let me know today downstairs if you are coming. I also need to know of all the children that will be needing childcare. So please let me know. Thank you. Come, come, whoever you are welcome here. No matter your age, your size, the color of your eyes, your hair, your skin, you are welcome here. No matter whom you love or how you speak or whatever your abilities, you are welcome here. You are welcome here whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears. You are welcome here. If you come here with an open mind and a loving heart and willing hands, you are welcome here.
Good morning. This whole week I have been wrestling with that ephemeral word, abundance. That word that has become such a buzzword in these times. And I really didn't need to. I could have just had you all sit right now. And that's what you're feeling, or that's what you're sending up here. And that's what I was feeling while we were listening to the singing, and boy, is there some great music to be had during this service. And it feels like spring is happening, doesn't it? Winter did not clutch us and refuse to let us go. I am still basking in yesterday. Its arms are still stretching around me, the sun warm on my shoulders. And then there was that evening with the not quite full moon. I open with the words of a poet I love, because poetry makes my heart feel abundant. His name is William Stafford. I like to live in the sound of water, in the feel of the mountain air. A sharp reminder hits me. This world still is alive. It stretches out there, shivering towards its own creation, and I'm part of it. Even my breathing enters into this elaborate give and take, this bowing to sun and moon, day or night, winter, summer, storm, still. This tranquil chaos that seems to be going somewhere. This wilderness with a great peacefulness in it. This motionless turmoil. This everything dance. In the spirit of that dance, which I feel here today, I invite you to stand in body or spirit and let us sing together from that teal hymnal, number 1007, There's a River Flowing.
we light this chalice for the warmth of love, for the light of truth, and for the energy of action.
I would like to invite the children up to the front for an amazing story. Today, you're going to be able to hear some of what I am so privileged to hear as the minister serving this congregation. I hear stories, and the stories that come through our doors, the people who are out there, the people who you just see their faces. I hope that this story convinces you that behind every face is a wonderful, wonderful story. Today we're talking about abundance. And in the abundance of stories that I thought of Fitzgerald, and he has come to tell you part of his story, because each one of us was born at a particular time. And you know what? I was born during the Montgomery bus boycott. And when I was inside my mother's womb, Rosa Parks refused to go to the back of the bus, and that has shaped my life. And Fitzgerald Peterson was born at another time. Fitz, tell us about when you were born.
I was born on November 22nd, 1965, which was the 2-year anniversary of President Kennedy being assassinated. Where I grew up, President Kennedy was loved, as most of us could look back on that. Most people could even tell you what they were doing on that day. But my mother named me for President Kennedy because he was about service, and that influenced me for the rest of my life to this day.
Thank you. And Fitz also wanted to tell you about, he was born in a little town, and what did your dad do?
He was a coal miner, and he did mine rescue. Yeah, he was a coal miner, and he did search and rescue for other coal miners.
So his dad was going down into those coal mines looking for the people who were lost. And that was the work that he did. And Fitz played a part in that when he was your age. Okay, Fitz, what did you do?
So in order to train the team, he had to have volunteers. So he would gently walk me into the coal mine, and every time he made sure I had a sandwich, and I had to sit or lay down and wait for them to come and find me. So it was dark. And as we were talking earlier, you don't know dark until you've been into a coal mine. So you couldn't make any sounds, you couldn't have a flashlight, and you had to wait. And sometimes it was a while.
Okay, so I want you all to imagine, everyone imagine sitting in the dark and waiting. But you have a sandwich, so that's a good thing. Okay, and then when the people showed up, what did it sound like?
So you're usually, in a coal mine, it's like a long hallway in your school or something like that. And you can usually hear the miners coming towards you because they were breathing air. They had to practice, so they had tanks on their backs. And you'll hear later what I do for a living now. But you could hear them coming for about a half a mile. And it was weird. There was anywhere from as many as 10, but usually it was 6 or 7. And you could hear them breathing almost as one. And which was a good thing, because you knew they were going to put you on a backboard, and then they were going to carry you out, and my sandwich was always gone. So I never minded the trip out. They took good care. They put bandages on me. They always pretended I was injured, and I was always in a splint, and I was always wearing a neck collar. And then I was allowed to giggle. So I would giggle, and that's how we got out of the mine almost every time.
And when he told me the story, he said that those miners sounded like Darth Vader as they were coming towards him. Okay, now, how did that change your life? How did those experiences of being born on the day that somebody very admired by your family was assassinated that day, and your coal mining search and rescue?
So what I learned from President Kennedy, after reading about him when I was your age, was that he was about service. And he liked to portray and teach others to choose lines of work that were in service. My father was the same way. My father was a coal miner, but at his first opportunity, he took over the search and rescue team. So when it was time for me to choose a career, I wanted to be a social worker. I wanted to help the poor. I'm still studying about the poor to this day. But I saw an ad in the paper for a firefighter. And I interviewed and got the job, and I never regretted it. So I hope that others will choose a job of service.
Thank you, Fitz, and thank you for being a firefighter for our community. So I'm excited to hear in later years what all of you decide to do, what your birthdays and what your names inspire you to do. And now you get to go down to that place that is so much fun. Okay, let's sing the children out. Before I ring the bell, just want to let you know, some of you who are back there in hard chairs, that first class has some seats up front. The children have gone and have left some openings. So as I ring the bell, I invite any of you who are experiencing discomfort back there to move up. I invite you to listen to this sound and look for that place within you, that place of silence, that place where downward we would layers of rock, all those layers that are constantly changing, all the way down to the fiery core. And if we were to move upward, we move through the clear sky and up into the heavens, until we can look back to the beauty of this earth. We come here to this place made holy by the years and years of people bringing themselves completely, bringing their joys and their sorrows, their mourning and their happiness. Today, we especially hold within this community Fitzgerald Peterson, who will soon have knee surgery, Janice Reese, who is recovering from surgery associated with breast cancer, and Connie Gates, who is recovering from shingles, and all of the hearts here that are in their various stages of recovery from mourning, and those who are in recovery from addiction, and those who are in the beautiful happiness of love and of a new baby I saw come into this sanctuary with his father, her father, Val. All these things are welcome in this place. And Rick and Jesse, Rick with a new job, so many things that are contributing to the abundance that is moving through this place like a river. And our own abundance calls us to remember the people we pass or try not to pass, who are carving places in Pioneer Park and all through this city, who have no home. And the increasing number of humans, each with a father and mother, and who are searching for a home as their own have been destroyed by war. May our hearts and our community be large enough to be awake to this world and all that is in it. I invite you now into a minute of silence during which those joys and sorrows that have not been named, if you would like, bring those names into the light of this community. Jennifer Willis. May we hold this light with us and bring it into those times in our lives when we feel a scarcity of time, when we feel that there is not enough. I invite you to remember this feeling of abundance. Amen.
way that we at South Valley support our community is to share our Sunday morning offerings. Today we will share our offering with Sister Song. Sister Song is a network of grassroots organizations devoted to securing reproductive justice for women of color. For more information, please see your order of service. If you're a visitor today, you're our guest, please feel no obligation to contribute to the offering. Okay, together let's say the words, our offering words. We are this church. We are its hands, its heart, its voice. Together we share in the wealth of this community and sustain it with our gifts.
The Hopi chief Dan Iwahina said the following before he passed away in 1999 at age 108. There is a river flowing now, very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid. They will try to hold on to the shore. They will feel they are being torn apart and will suffer greatly. No, the river has its destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of the river, keep our eyes open and our hearts above the water. See who is in there with you. and celebrate. At this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For when we do, our spiritual growth and journey comes to a halt. The time of the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves. Banish the word struggle from your attitude and your vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration. We are the ones we have been waiting for.
Is abundance. And I feel inspired to tell you my dream of having the whole congregation come up and be in our choir. This is not a closed group. Oh, yes. She always wants me to run everything past her. chapter for something serious. And I'm trying not to make this serious. I have been wrestling this week, as I said in my opening words, because the word abundance has been kind of overused, I think. And sometimes I think it's used in a manipulative way. I haven't had enough time to really figure it out, and I'm not really that interested in how people are misusing it. But I know that when I feel it, like I feel it in our laughter, that I want more of it, and that I think that it's a really good thing. And I believe, looking back on the 3.5 years I have been here, that growing abundance has really been at the heart of our work together. Do you think so?
Yes.
That was kind of... that wasn't very abundant. But part of that can be seen in the stewardship campaign that we are starting. 2 years ago, we decided that we didn't want to just have people give us a number that represented the treasure that they were, with a big heart, willing to give us. We wanted space to write down a fuller picture of the gifts that all of us bring, the gifts of time and talents and treasure. And all of these gifts are important. And abundance, that feeling of abundance in time and in talent and in treasure, I believe do make for a happy life. I wish that I had a magic formula. I can only tell you some of the ways that have led me to those marvelous moments. And I must say that I think it is 3.5 years of lots of work, and our fabulous hospitality team, and our welcoming, and all of the hearts that have opened, that give us what we have been identifying in this sanctuary right now, that feels like abundance. And since the theme of this month is evil, I want to talk about what I think is the great evil, and why some people in my life I have secretly called by the names of evil super people. They were people who took abundance away from me, made me feel scarce, like I was not enough. There we go. Somebody's telephone call is more important. So this is perfect, because what I wrote down next was, like one of those super enemies, scarcity is a shapeshifter. We work hard to get rid of it in one place, and then it appears in a new form. But for me, when I was thinking about these 3 T's of time, talents, and treasure, the one that eludes my feelings of abundance most is time. And I want to tell you about a time when I was extremely busy. I was a seminary student, wanting to do just what I'm doing right now, and that meant 3 years of separation from Lou, and that was really hard. So I was away at seminary, and for some reason, instead of, I should have just probably awakened every morning and felt sad. But instead, I'd wake up at 4 a.m. and I'd get to work. And I'd run between my classes and the library. And I would be at a full trot going from the supermarket to my place where I was living, carrying the things, knowing that if I could study, I think I thought if I could study a little harder and a little faster, that I could get home sooner. Well, one day, it was spring, and I came out of the supermarket with my usual very scarce soup fixings. I had a pattern of making soups anyway that I could freeze and have all week. Lou would have hated it. But I took those bags from the supermarket and I started to run, and I ran across the supermarket and my foot got caught on one of those bumps, you know, trying to get cars to go more slowly. And I flew. I literally flew because I was walking so quickly. I flew. And my bags went everywhere, and then I skidded down that parking lot on my hands, making very deep holes in my hands. And I sat there and removed the bits of tar, and people were really kind. And that fall, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but that fall released tears. Not tears of pain, but all that I had kept back in my busyness. And it was like a flash flood. And people were really alarmed around me. And they were so kind. I didn't dare tell them I was a seminary student. They would have said, "Oh, don't become a minister." At that moment, I felt that I was in that river that Hopi chief Dan Evehima described. There is a river flowing now very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid, yes. They will try to hold on to the shore. They will feel like they are being torn apart, and they will suffer greatly. I would add, they will fall. And that fall did slow me down. It released difficult emotions from years and years back. And it kind of shook the busyness out of me. And it made me realize that I needed to take that busyness out of my life. And that is a constant struggle for me. I think I was taught by my mother. I can imagine my parents going, "Good girl, nice run." You know, like in between things, or "Good girl, you did that really quickly." It is a struggle for me to find abundance in time. And I wonder, do you each have a practice? What do you do that helps you escape from that treadmill? When you're feeling like that hamster, what do you do? What do you do? I often really do ring my bell, and it helps. And that wise Hopi chieftain said, he gives us this advice when the river is flowing fast, and it is always flowing fast. He says, "Let go of the shore." This is what he wrote. "No, the river has its destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of the river, keep our eyes open and our heads above water, see who is in there with you, and celebrate. let us take a moment and just look around this room. I get to do it, but you guys don't. Let's just take a minute, look around. Our eyes are open. It looks like everyone's head is above water. But I know that some of you are feeling the water to be right about here. And I'm seeing nods. We are not alone in this river. We are not alone. And I think that's one of the lies that that evil superpower scarcity tells us, that we are alone. But when we can look around and share our time with another human being, or with the moon, or a tree, or simply the feel of the earth under our feet, that can be an antidote. This is a practice that we can do here together. I invite you, from the moment you enter this building, or even before you come, as you are preparing, I invite you to begin a practice of looking around and seeing who else is here, of being with each other, of being with the music, of being with the laughter, of being with the singing. How many of you grew up with rules around the Sabbath? I think sometimes that keeps us from making this a special day. There were rules in my house about not shopping, not playing. I remember my mother calling, "Patty, are you doing your homework? You know you're not supposed to be doing your homework." It's true. But here I hope we can create a practice of dues, a practice of being present. If you're going to put one thing away, I invite you, and this is a tough one, to put your cell phones away. Take the time, because I don't think there are studies that we don't do two things at once, that we can't actually feel the feel of our child's hand, or our dog's paw, or listen to the purr of the cat while we are doing something else. Could we make Sunday a day we don't escape from? Could we make it be like that river we float down, those rivers in Wisconsin from my teenage times, in the big inner tubes that we would float down, keeping our eyes open, our heads above water, see who is in there, and celebrate. For the second T, talents, I'm going to start that with asking you what you're coming here for. What are you looking for? Since answers might take a little time, I'll tell you what some people tell me they're looking for. They're looking for more spirituality, more clarity, more intellectual conversations, more love, more action out in the world. And then, if we think about what those yearnings are that we bring, I think that those yearnings are evidence that you have that thing in your hands, that what you are looking for is the gift that you have for us. If you are looking for spirituality, perhaps that is what you are bringing. I love to have art around me. We actually have so much artwork that we have a huge cupboard in Arizona that is filled with paintings that could not fit in 2 houses. At some point, many years ago, before I had a lot of paintings in my closet, I found a whimsical painting of a whale, and I wanted it. I wanted it so much. I wanted it in our living room, but I couldn't afford it. It was a very expensive whimsical whale. And soon after I saw that whale, I was drawn to buy a book of blank paper and a set of paints, and something within me released, and instead of simply words, I began painting what was in my mind. And I have to give you a little aside of the significance of the whale. The only time I was physically punished in my elementary school was when I made a painting of a whale. And I was not satisfied with it, so I folded it up and I put it in my desk. And my teacher found it, and she said I was wasting paper, and she hit me in front of the whole class. So that's a little history, my history with whales and painting. But what happened was, gradually, this book that became full of paintings led to my being in a situation that is too complicated to tell you how I ended up there. But I was alone in a 3-story house that we had bought in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Our life is very odd. And I was alone, and I longed for paintings on those walls, and I went to the art store and I bought thick paper. And I filled those walls with paintings, and I loved it. And then my parents decided to come for a visit. And I was so ashamed. I thought, they don't think of me as a painter. And here I have all of these strange paintings of masked figures, and I mean, psychologists could go crazy with these paintings. So, I decided to tell my parents that a Japanese artist had painted. So my mother comes in, and she is looking all around at the paintings. She's fascinated by them. And she keeps asking me, Patty, who did these paintings? And I said, a Japanese artist. We know very well, we bought much of her work. And she said to me, I'd buy one of these paintings. And I confessed. And I have to admit, the painting, this thing I thought I could never do, has been my refuge as I heal from the sudden loss of my parents. I have been painting, one painting after another. When words felt like they could open wounds, putting colors and images on paper and canvas has been balm. And several of those images have been whales. So I ask you, what are you looking for outside yourself? What are you looking for here? Let's think about that just for a moment. And I want you to wonder if what you're looking for is, consider that it may be what you have. And using these talents takes vulnerability. It takes not taking yourself seriously. And this is what that Hopi chief advises us. He says, at this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves, for when we do, our spiritual growth and journey comes to a halt. The time of the lone wolf is over. In the Hebrew scriptures, well, these are the Greek actually, in the New Testament, we are told not to bury our talents. Our talents are to be brought out into the light and shared. Let us be bold. This is part of that feeling of abundance that brings happiness. And now for the third T. People new to Unitarian Universalism wonder about what we think about our third T or treasure. Well, our denomination suggests that we mix. We have a kind of mix of giving. They describe, you can look it up at the uua.org, they describe a UU tithe as the following: giving 5% of your income to the congregation and 5% out into the greater world, to other efforts, to refugees, to those places such as the ones we give to in this congregation. There are so many places to give. I also want you to know, because I've heard this question often, that the finances of this congregation are transparent. You can know where we spend every penny. This is presented monthly at our board meeting and yearly at the congregation to the whole congregation, and if you want to know about it weekly, Phil, could you handle that? He's back there, he probably could. The amount people give is kept confidential. It's only known by the people who work on the stewardship. And these past years, I have also known that it's part of what the minister knows and works with. And my experience of the past 3.5 years, obviously money, working with money, was not why I became a minister. But seeing the giving and trying to inspire people to give has inspired me to give. And Lou and I have actually grown our percentage to 7%. Because I can't ask you to give what I'm not willing to give. And working with you has opened our hearts and made us connected with you. It's made us want this community not just to survive, but to flourish. And giving to this community has blessed our lives. But I want you to know that writing the check, you know, like in the stewardship campaigns of KUER, this is not the punchline of this sermon. The abundance that we receive comes from that deeper practice that I want each of you to consider making foremost in your lives, because it will make you happy. And that is the hard work that I have been describing of growing an abundance of time, talents, and treasure. Because when we give out of abundance, our gift makes a difference. It brings much to our lives. And this is the mystery that perhaps someday scientists will be able to figure out. that our attitude towards our giving changes everything. This is what you see in the choir and what you see in Mary and Peter, and why I love when they come. Because you see the joy bubbling out of gifts that are coming out of abundance. And that makes us feel abundance. So I invite you, as you contemplate your 3T card, and we have a lovely box down there that Cynthia made, into which you can put the form when you are ready. But I invite you to consider your own sense of abundance. Where are you with your feelings of abundance? And try to find a practice that will make it grow. Find a spaciousness of time, talent, and treasure. And that will change your life. You will no longer be the person as I have been, who doesn't want someone to get in front of you in line. Because your time will be stretched to accommodate strangers. You will be bolder in sharing your talents. You will find the talents you were looking for, and you will become bold in giving them. The abundance that you feel in your treasure will take resentment out of using it. It will become a joy to know that what you are giving is contributing to the lives of others, to your children, to the world that will be here in 100 years. Through your abundance, you will live on beyond that short moment that is given us for life. And as Lou and I have both experienced the death of parents so recently, what we saw, and I believe I told you at the time, it was after I came back from Mary Lou's mother's funeral, was the goodness that came out of the people she had helped, because she had such a big heart. There were strangers at the burial that nobody knew, who were behind, who were people that she had reached out to. There were people I recognized. There was the gardener whose wife had cancer, who she had sent up to the Huntsman Clinic and paid for his hotel and all of these things. And I believe that that is what she took with her as she died, and it is what she left. So abundance is what we have to give. And I believe it is one of those things about being human. It is one of those things that makes us bigger and stretches us beyond what we think is possible. And as Chief Evahima describes, it doesn't have to be a struggle. Gather yourselves, he tells us. Banish the word struggle from your attitude and your vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration. We are the ones we have been waiting for. We are the ones we have been waiting for. Amen and Alleluia. And we are going to sing again. Let us stand in body or spirit and sing Calypso Alleluia. There is a river flowing now very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid. They will try to hold on to the shore. They will feel like they are being torn apart and will suffer greatly. No, the river has a destination. The elders say, we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of the river, keep our eyes open and our heads above water. See who is in there with you and celebrate. Amen, and may it be so.
Well, this is a song that Peter wrote as we were coming out of a really dark time in our life. There was a time when we didn't feel